So when you were doing insights, what are some of the most interesting things which came out while you were managing multiple brands?
A brand is not built on just being cheaper. It is built on tracking for the brands. Starts with a question. When I talk about fizzy, carbonated drinks, what brands come to your mind? What is the right question to ask? The answer is it depends. There were a lot of brands launching around that time. Everybody went with cheaper tariffs. Tata Docomo said 1 paisa per second. Actually 1 paisa per second कुछ लोगों को महंगा लगता था. Because 60 seconds होते हैं in a minute is not something that strikes immediately. If you just ask the question differently, when you are thirsty, what product or brand comes to your mind?
Ritesh, you bring a lot of experience right from having worked with consumer as well as global as well as Indian brands, and having built multiple brands over a period of your career. So I would like you introduce yourself in terms of what all have you done and what you're doing till now, and then maybe we can double click on some of the aspects of those journey.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. So I am a student of economics. Till my class 12th, I was doing science. And while the results would say I was sort of decent, I never really enjoyed anything in academics. Then, like a lot of other people, I took all the entrance exams, medical and engineering. Thankfully, did not clear any of them. And I found myself in Croma College doing economics. And those 3 years really changed my life, because it was the first time I realized 2 plus 2 is not 4 necessarily. There is a it depends in the middle, right? And the beauty of microeconomics, where you create assumptions simply to simplify your to model a certain problem, and then you test the model by stripping away those assumptions, and the model still holds, right? So that approach to thinking is something which stayed with me. I went into MBA after my graduation. That was at IIM Bangalore. I went in thinking I will major in finance. But again, the applications of microeconomics in marketing, right? How it's all about, आज जो nudge theory बोलते हैं, right? It's all about applying the same discipline of microeconomics to marketing. So at the end of 2 years, I was a major in marketing with economics as a minor, and I started my career with Riteshs in there. So they had started something called Initiative Media, and that was my first thing. So the idea of joining Initiative Media, not the the sales force of Philips or P&G or whatever, was because it was a startup. It was going to be a small team. This is a time when satellite media was just taking off, and the idea was, therefore, to grow quickly with the new emerging discipline of media planning. First realization of corporate: you cannot do more or shine more than your boss will let you do. So at the end of 6 months, I was out of that, and I took a nice 2 months break. This is 1996 now, so the World Cup was happening in India. Watched a few games of the World Cup, and after that I joined IMRB. Why IMRB? It was easy to get into market research. People from IIMs don't usually land up in IMRB, so I just walked in. That was the second, set of 3 years which changed my life. Just as I loved economics, I loved the act of understanding consumers better. So market research is really 3 skills coming together. One is the ability to synthesize data, right? Not interpret a table. वो तो statistician भी कर लेता है, but to actually find connections, identify patterns, develop sharper and sharper hypotheses, and test it with more data. That is one skill. Second is being able to visualize something which doesn't exist today. Okay, because all market research starts with creating a survey, what you call the research design, right? Which question asked how, in what frame of reference, will give you what answer. इसको visualize करना पड़ता है. Okay. So these are now two skills which the mad scientist kind of folks will enjoy. But the third skill it requires, which is being able to convey what you've understood or what you propose to do, right, to someone who's on the other side of the fence, right? अगर सब कर सकते हैं तो खुद ही कर लेते हैं,
Correct.
expert क्यों लाते हैं? So communication skills, written and oral, is the third skill that a market research professional requires. And now this is a very tough combination to get. The first two बहुत मिल जाएंगे, सिर्फ तीसरा वाला बहुत मिल जाएंगे, बट जिसको ये भी आता है ये भी आता है वो नहीं मिलता. Okay, which is why if you look at any market research firm or even a consulting firm from that matter, you will see huge attrition in the first year. Right? In the first year, neither the person hiring nor the person getting hired knows मैं क्या करूँगा, how will I do at this, right? But the person who finishes the first year, maybe the 60% of the stock that passes in the first year, will then become more and more valuable, because there's this ability to visualize कौन से सवाल पे कैसा जवाब आएगा is a skill that grows over time. Similarly, the ability to synthesize, right? Because you know which sources of data there are, right? What can be put together with what, what are the pitfalls, biases in different questions, etc. सब आपको आता है because you've done it so many times, right? So this combination of three skills keeps taking you further and further and further. Actually, my entire career after MRB has been built on what I learned at MRB. Okay, from MRB I moved to Riteshs as a insight manager, which is essentially doing the same thing on the other side of the fence. So instead of handling 5 projects for 5 different clients, we were handling 25 projects for one client. Riteshs had a great set of brands at that time. You name the brands: Dettol, Cherry Blossom, Mortein, Colin, Harpic. Worked on all of them. It was also a great time to be in the space of marketing in India, because all global brands were getting interested in India. Okay, so 2 years at Riteshs, then I moved to Coke. I moved as the head of insights for India. Again, this was a fantastic time. I joined in 2001. In 2001 middle, we created the the Grow Up to Thumbs Up, the Pepsi challenge, right? So we took on Pepsi in the first year. Fantastic work. Research played a small role in that, which is actually, so the entire marketing plot was based on children prefer thumbs up, or children prefer Pepsi, grown-ups prefer thumbs up. And all 12-year-olds believe they are grown-ups, of course, right? So this was the premise. Now, getting a survey to validate this, which will stand up in a court of law, because we were sure we would be taken to courts, and we were, right? So that was the interesting part that I was part of. Then the next year was Thanda Matlab Coca Cola. So the entire consumer inciting piece around that led to the campaign then we went into the pesticide crisis. Therefore, how do you recover confidence in colas? The launch of non-carbonated drinks. I launched Minute Maid in India. I managed Maaza. In this very interesting phase, we looked at some 6x growth of Maaza in a single year. Then I moved to retail. Again, the desire to be on the startup. Retail was just getting off the ground in this 2006 now. Okay, so I joined Bharti Retail, who had a JV with Tesco. Unfortunately, Tesco walked away because India did not let FDI into the country, and Walmart came in, and that was the end of all of our interest in retail, right? So we all quit, and I found myself with another startup, which is Millward Brown, starting their business in India. So I set up the Delhi office, took over the business from IMRB, did that for a year. One of the projects I worked on was, what should the new Tata GSM offering be called? And that became Tata Docomo. So I hopped over to the brand side. It's not, I'm a little ashamed that I quit Millward Brown in a year, because it was a team I had built, an office I had created. But then, if you're a marketer and you are seeing 300 crores and an empty canvas to build a new brand, that's always exciting. So that's how Tata Docomo happened. For the next 5.5 years, I was with Tata Teleservices, working on Docomo. Then brief stint with Raymond as the CMO. Very interesting challenge. They wanted to break out of the, Raymond is equal to wool and wool is equal to winter, which was holding back the growth of the business. But things didn't click for me there. So I moved on in 6 months and I was back with the Tatas at Croma. Again, a very fascinating challenge. This is 2014, second half now, where, Amazon, Flipkart, and at that time Snapdeal as well, were walking away with the entire business in the electronic space. The people believed, prices were cheaper online. In fact, store managers were complaining that people would come and look at a product in Croma and वहीं से फिर order लगा देंगे Amazon पे. Okay. So things were in a bad shape. In fact, there was talk around, should we also go online? Should we, shut down our stores and become fully online, और जितने दुकान है वो रख लेते हैं, बाकी सब online growth लाते हैं. And this is where we started from in 2014. From there, when I left into 2021, there were, 200 plus stores operational and another 150 in the pipeline. And it was a profitable business, right? And nobody was thinking of Amazon as the, competitor anymore. And this is where I think a lot of people in the professional world went through this thing of reevaluation. Hum kya kar rahe hain, when you were sitting at home during COVID. And honestly, I was one of them. Okay. I was also, उस time पे क्या करते थे, a lot of people would reconnect with old friends over Zoom calls and all that. And Zoom call भी नए आए थे हमारे life में. So that is when, a lot of conversations with old friends who I had been colleagues with, worked with in different avatars. And the thing of, जो 1999 में सोचा था, starting a research agency with a difference, a research agency which is, how should I put it, not just doing the survey, but offering advice based on what the survey reveals. So sort of like a value-added consulting kind of space. That idea started, cooking again, and that's what I then moved to after 2021. So the Croma job was in Bombay, and I'm from Gurgaon. So the decision to, pack up, come home, and then do what you do, sitting at home, or at least with the, the choice of coming home at the end of the day, was a big part of what I wanted to do. Also, there's a time beyond which, managing boardrooms and, the mindless dance of corporate life, right, sort of starts getting to you. And that's sort of, the journey that happened in 2021 for me. So then we started our own market research firm, Crisp Insights. We are now 6 partners, all of a similar vintage and profile. 3 from a qualitative research background, 3 from a quant background. And one of us has a lot of, intellectual property created in the data automation space, which allows us to, find faster ways to, plug in technology to come to answers faster. One of the challenges in marketing, and I faced this myself both in telecom and in retail, is the time available to take decisions to the marketer has really shrunk, right? So 96 I was part of a brand training workshop by Horlicks, GSK, where every brand was operating on a 3-year calendar. We will do a usage and attitude study, we will come up with ideas, we'll make products, we'll test products, then we will develop advertising, test advertising, and then we will launch and track. 3-year plan. In Croma, I used to have a board review every 2 months. Okay. Okay. So the decision-making cycle has collapsed. Marketing has sort of, overlapped with performance marketing, right? It's very here and now as well as long-term, rather than, long-term and, sales manager आज देखेगा, marketing manager 3 साल का सोचेगा. ऐसा होता नहीं है. Everybody has to think tomorrow now, right? So how does market research respond to that? How do you bring down the cycles for reporting? If I want to test an ad before I launch it, it cannot take 21 days. If I want to, assess if my latest promotion or price drop is attracting the right kind of customers, I can't wait for 4 weeks, right? I need to know tomorrow. And these are the kind of things, where with AI, with online interviewing possibilities, etc., we are working on. How do we cut the response cycles? Yeah, so that's my journey, and that's what we do.
Wow, that's quite a journey which you've had. So tell me something. So as a layman, let's say if I have to build a career in marketing, or for that matter, you spoke about you doing insights in the initial part of your career once you moved on from MRB. So what does it pertain? I mean, what does an insight manager do?
So insight manager is like a part of the marketing team, or in some organizations now part of the CEO's team, because there is now a lot of data. I mean, we live in a world where there's a glut of data, right? So the insight manager's job is to identify what is worth looking at or not worth looking at. Number one, the visioning part, right? Then finding the patterns and or identifying the connection, so to speak, modeling that, validating that, and therefore serving as a decision support system.
Understood.
Okay. सो मार्केट रिसर्च सिर्फ नहीं होता है, आज की डेट में तो बहुत सारा डेटा ऐसे ही आ रहा है. सो सेल्स हो रहा है, आपका क्लिक स्ट्रीम डेटा है, विच इज how people are engaging with your content online, etc. All of it is part of the data. In Croma we had a very interesting thing, where if you're launching a new store, what we would look at is उस स्टोर के एरिया में डिजिटल एक्टिविटी कितनी है. Okay. Because that tells you whether I need to do outdoor or not. Right. If there is a high level of digital literacy in that catchment, then Instagram से मेरा और Facebook से काम चल जाना है. Agreed. Right. Yeah. But if digital activity is low, let's say you're opening a store in Hubli or something, right? Then you say, I need a budget for outdoor. So insight, like I said, is not a decision, but it's a very useful support to decision.
Acha, all right. So when you were doing insights, what are some of the most interesting things which came out while you were managing multiple brands?
So I think the biggest aha for me as an individual is the absence of an absolute truth. Okay. The answer to any question in market research, and therefore in the world of marketing, is it depends. Okay. Let me try and explain with an example. So in Coca Cola and in Pepsi, the tracking for the brands starts with a question. When I talk about fizzy carbonated drinks, what brands come to your mind? Okay, इसमें Coke और Pepsi ऐसे ऐसे आते हैं, Thumbs Up भी, right? So these are the three top of the charts brands, and the three brands are punching each other harder and harder, hiring more celebs, bigger celebs, spending more money in advertising, right? If you just ask the question differently, when you are thirsty, what product or brand comes to your mind? ये दोनों तीनों जो है ना become less than 1% of the market, right? Now, what is the right question to ask? The answer is it depends. आप करना क्या चाहते हो, right? But it was just changing the lens to this that created the biggest campaign I have ever been involved with, which is the Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola. So where we said, forget Coke कौन है, Pepsi कौन है. In fact, Coke Atlanta would, have nightmares thinking ये भी मतलब Coke ऐसे भी बात कर सकता है in any market, right? But after that they have done it in other markets also. Okay. It's a different thing. But so if the moment you look at my task is category development, nobody is thinking of having a Coke when they are thirsty, or a Pepsi for that matter. Means my opportunity and my challenge as a brand is category creation. It is not sheer development, right? Now Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola makes a lot of sense. You're saying, boss, कुछ ठंडा दिमाग में आ रहा है तो Coca-Cola भी, right? So that's one instance. Same thing, when I was creating Tata Docomo, right? When you're launching something new in a service category, you will obviously have to discount because you have to churn, right? Now the question is, what is my offering going to be, right? There were a lot of brands launching around that time. Everybody went with cheaper tariffs. Tata Docomo said 1 paisa per second, right? Actually 1 paisa per second कुछ लोगों को महंगा लगता था, because 60 seconds होते हैं in a minute is not something that strikes you immediately. ठीक है, so you think बहुत ये तो 1 रुपया हो गया.
अच्छा हाँ, yeah, correct.
So and we had researched 2 options of pricing. One was this. The other was, if you remember, we still had landlines at that time, 2008-9, right? And on the landline, the pulse was 3 minutes. So when you make a call, for the first 3 minutes, you are charged something, right? So mobility was on a 1 minute pulse, landline was a 3 minute pulse. If I say same price 3 minutes, people understand it is value straight away. Versus if I say 1 paisa per second, people don't get it, right? But we still went with that, even though it leaves a task of education on your side. Because once people get it, it stands for more than just value. A brand is not built on just being cheaper, right? It is built on, the equity of a brand is the difference between the price I pay and the cost that went into, giving that thing, right? And therefore, agar wo difference रहना है, there has to be something unquantifiable, unmeasurable. If you can put a value to it, everyone can do the math. Especially Indians are very good with math, right? So now, when you say 1 paisa per second, right, and you say it at a time when people are still worried about their telecom bills, especially the prepaid market. उस time पे क्या होता था, there was this thing called VAS, so caller tunes and stuff like that, right? And not out of an intent of cheating consumers, but more from a revenue assurance perspective, all telecom operators had created a first lien of the VAS service, which means, let's say you recharge your telecom wallet with 35 rupees and you go off to sleep. अगले दिन सुबह 30 रुपए का CRBT कट जाएगा. Okay, so a lot of people had this issue कि बॉस में तो पैसे कट जाते हैं, ठीक है. Especially when you also realize that not everybody was, signing up for those VAS. They were being, sometimes being pushed by telemarketers, right? Now suddenly you have a situation where 1 paisa per second just sounds like it's a more honesty. Okay, so you translated the tariff into a service promise. अब ये किसी डेटा ने नहीं कहा था, ठीक है, किसी डेटा ने नहीं कहा था, but डेटा ने ये जरूर कहा था कि telecom operators, especially prepaid subscribers, do not understand their bills and are suspicious of the telecom operators. Okay, यहाँ से leap लेना marketer का काम है. Again, like I said, research is the decision support. So these would be, I guess, couple of examples of how, I would say breakthrough marketing thoughts come based on a very sharp definition of what we want to research. Research सवाल क्या है अलग होता है, marketing सवाल क्या है वो अलग होता है.
Understood. एक और चीज होती है, I mean, we work with quite a few D2C brands. And then there's this whole so when clients also give us mandates, there's this big difference between marketing and branding. So let's say if I'm building my career in the and if I want to choose whether I need to get into marketing or versus branding. What is the biggest difference between the two, and and what can I expect from these careers?
See, actually, and this is a very long debate. Okay, the role of marketing in the last 25 years has undergone a huge shift. Okay, when I started off in research, not even marketing, right? This 3-year brand planning window that I managed to sit through, the marketing guy was the owner of the brand's P&L. उसको जो करना है to deliver the brand's P&L for the year, उसका काम है.
Yeah.
In fact, I still remember when I was in Riteshs, right after my IMRB stint, the Mortine brand manager, there was a trucker strike. The Mortine brand manager was calling up the truck walas and trying to persuade them to move the stock.
Oh wow.
Okay. Brand manager ऐसा होता था. Very different from what it is now. Okay. Today, the tasks that the brand needs to perform or the marketing team needs to perform have been split into silos. एक आपका insight officer बन गया है, जिसका काम कंज्यूमर समझना है. ओके, समटाइम्स वो CDO भी बन जाता है, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द डेटा दैट ही इज हैंडलिंग इज डिजिटल इन नेचर rather than सर्वे. सो CDO और चीफ नॉलेज ऑफिसर, चीफ इंसाइट ऑफिसर, ये एक आपका पाथ बन गया है. द सेकेंड पाथ इज द डिजिटल मार्केटिंग स्पेस, राइट? And this is a very interesting amalgamation of marketing and sales. Okay, again, before digital happened, sales was a separate function, marketing was a separate function. इन दोनों के बीच में रिश्ता जुड़ता था ट्रेड मार्केटिंग से, right? Which is what will marketing do to support sales, get the sales off the ground in this quarter, in this month, in this year. Now, when digital comes in, right, you don't make money on the sale you're doing on digital. Right, it is effectively paid some sampling.
Correct.
I mean, Google कहता है ROAS of 4.5, 5 is benchmark, gold standard. ठीक है, which means what? The company is getting 80 rupees back, right?
Yeah.
80 rupees मिलेगा उसको ना 4 times अगर उसको करोगे, ठीक है. Now that leaves no money for you to actually make the sale and earn money on it, right? So you are negative every time you sell on any platform via Google or via any of these other things, right? It is impossible to make money if you are a digital only brand. Okay, so why are people on digital? Because it is paid sampling, and it is a cheaper way to sample than to put a promoter in a mall and sell, right?
Correct.
सो ये आपकी बन गई परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग. सो सोशल परफॉर्मेंस कंटेंट, ये एक आपका अलग वर्टिकल बन गया. नाउ इसमें स्किल सेट बहुत अलग है एज कंपेयर टू व्हाट दैट मार्केटिंग गाय हैज, राइट? इसमें जो एजेंसी पार्टनर्स चाहिए, जो एजेंसी नेटवर्क चाहिए, ऑल ऑफ दिस इज वेरी डिफरेंट. ओके, सो ये आपका एक अलग वर्टिकल बनता जा रहा है. नाउ व्हेन ऑल ऑफ दिस इज हैपनिंग, you know, in telecom there used to be this position called marcom, marketing communication. That is what you mean when you say brand, which is the act of painting pretty pictures. Right? So जब भी आपका in fact especially जब आपके startups, you know, when they get their first or second set of funding, now they want to, you know, go big. वो फिर एक लियो बर्नेट को लेके आएंगे या WPP किसी कंपनी को लेके आएंगे, उसको ब्रीफ देंगे कि मुझे टॉप ऑफ माइंड रिकॉल बढ़ाना है, ठीक है. नाउ that has become a separate act in itself. Driving those consumer metrics has become a separate act in itself, and this is where I think, you know, a lot of inefficiency has come in, honestly, because like I said, I agree, the skill sets required are so different, right? But it also means जो आपके पास ₹1 का बजट है वो 5 में बट रहा है, right? And if you put very smart guys to do very smart things in 5 different avenues, right, especially when decision making cycles are very short, right? So performance marketing wala बैठ के he's taking decisions based on recommendations Google is giving him, right? Your brand starts from here for the brand guy as well as the performance marketing guy. Performance marketing हफ्ते के बाद इधर होगा, right? He would have gone from being a value brand to a discount brand, for instance, right? और जो brand वाला है उसको तो, you know, top of mind बढ़ाना है, he'll create some fancy story, ठीक है. I mean, we can go into examples. For instance, you know, I still remember Home Trade as a fabulous example of what not to do, right? So they created a huge salience in the market. Riteshs Roshan, there were some, you know, weird ads they had done. Huge salience in the market. What does it do? किसी को नहीं पता, फिर बंद हो गया, right? Now a very controversial one, Cred. Fantastic campaign. ठीक है. What are people using Cred for? And what did the advertising tell them? What they can expect from Cred? कुछ नहीं. Right. So this is the problem which we are facing in the world of marketing today, right? Because people are running. People have to, you know, you are forever on a treadmill in this digital world. You know what I call now marketing. There is now, you know, there is no time for planning, right? You have to take decisions on the fly. आप नहीं bid करोगे ₹5 ज़्यादा, Google पे आपको competitor कर देगा. You will bid for the keyword. If a keyword has higher salience, you will want that keyword. तो आप अपना content change करोगे. तो आपका ब्रांड यहाँ से शुरू होकर इधर पहुंच जाएगा, ठीक है. ये भाई साहब जो कम्युनिकेशन बना रहे हैं, ही इज थिंकिंग, यू नो, मुझे एबी जीतना है, एफई जीतना है, यू नो, टॉप ऑफ माइंड बढ़ाना है. ही विल मेक अ फैंसी स्टोरी, विल नॉट टॉक टू दिस एट ऑल. इवन इफ इट टॉक टू दिस, इट कैन नॉट टॉक टू दिस, राइट? दोनों के साथ तो नहीं बात कर सकता. So this is what is actually happening. If you see, most brands today start from a particular place and they end up being in a totally different world altogether. So look at Byju's, for instance, right? They built a proposition, a business around online tuitions, and a big part of their promise was, my teachers are fantastic. In fact, there's a perception in the market, IITians पढ़ाते हैं Byju's में, created in whatever fashion, right? Now they go into tuition classes. The moment you're tuition classes, the parent is coming to pick up the kid. वो तो टीचर से बात कर रहा है, राइट? उसको पता चल जाएगा टीचर IITian है कि नहीं, कितने पानी में, सब पता चल जाएगा, राइट? नाउ इमेजिन व्हाट this is doing to the brand. Of course, there were many other things wrong with Byju, right? But the fact is, they did not hold on to the purity of the idea. Is something they lost a long time ago in their journey on a downward spiral. Yeah.
Okay. So how, I mean, so according to you, how has consumer evolved over a period of time? You have seen this over 2 decades now. How has the consumer behavior changed or evolved? I mean, from a marketing lens over a period of time.
I think 2-3 things. One is, so when I just moved into the Tesco team, right, this is a time when growing confidence and young housewives, etc., was the thing, right? So the act of buying not in a kirana but a modern trade was all about empowerment, right? I can read what's on the pack, I can understand the price and what I'm paying for, etc., etc., and make my own choice. My choices are no longer going to be mediated by the lalachi at the gilla. Okay. Even at that time, our understanding was that you need some kind of a digital intervention. Why? Because when you go from a kirani ki dukaan to a modern trade, you have to create self-service. So what inventory you can fit in 300 square feet now takes 2000 square feet. So obviously the woman will have to travel further. You will not get 2000 square feet in the market with the kirana guy sets. If the woman travels further, there will be shopping bags. How are they coming back?
Correct.
Okay. Modern trade was able to solve modern shopping, right? But not the delivery of the shopping bags. And now when you look at what is happening in with Amazon and Flipkart, inherited now by the quick commerce guys, modern trade here, you are getting to choose what you want to buy, and the सामान आपके घर पे आ जाता है, right? In fact, quick commerce has even solved for the लाले के जो बंदा साइकिल पे आता था, वो भी आ रहा है,
yeah,
right? In 10 minutes, you're getting everything, but you are getting to choose what you want to buy. So this empowerment is a huge thing, and that is linked to the second thing, which is digital, right? The biggest change in my lifetime is first the internet came, right? I still remember जब मैंने Hotmail ID बनाया था अपना, right? And you used to run the router to download, right? Those were also days, and now if you see, you don't even need to know the answer to a question. You just need to know what to ask.
Yeah.
Right. With AI, of course, that's now going to a different league, right? So ये सारा जो हो रहा है is because internet has happened and then internet has gone mobile.
Yeah.
Right. And this is hugely empowering. There is no information arbitrage anymore, right? In fact, if I look at cab drivers also, they are also watching the IPL on their phones, right? So everybody is connected. Information arbitrage khatam ho gaya. Everybody is therefore empowered. Of course, there is a lot of affluence which has come in. A lot of people talk about garibi and all that. But if you just observe little things, right? आपके घर में अगर प्रेस वाला आता है, वो आज ऑटो में आता है, अपना एक तो ओमनी में भी आता है, the other guy has a bike, right? साइकिल पे नहीं आता है, जो दूध वाला है उसके पास भी बाइक है, जो पेपर वाला है उसके पास भी बाइक है. This is affluence, right? There's a fundamental change in the grading of people, and therefore what they consume, what they aspire for, and like I said, there is no information barrier. Right? सबके पास वही information है. That is one huge change. For most of the categories people want to consume, there is money in the wallet, not for the brands you want to consume maybe, but for the products you want to consume. Right? If you look at phones, for instance, since I was at Croma, 5,000 में भी आपको एंड्रॉयड मिलता है, 1 लाख के ऊपर भी आपको एंड्रॉयड मिलता है, वही काम करता है. जस्ट दैट यू विल नॉट बी, वो आपका सैमसंग एस सीरीज गैलेक्सी नहीं होगा, इट विल बी a lemon or lava or Chinese brand or whatever it is, but you get all the functionalities, and that I think is a fundamental change. Coming now to the perspective of marketing, right, or communication more specifically, this reflects in the kind of stories that work in advertising, right? There was a time when the brand was just an endorsement of quality. So गोदरेज घर भी बना सकता है, गोदरेज ताली भी बना सकता है. अगर गोदरेज ने बोला तो ठीक ही होगा. Correct. Right? It doesn't fly anymore today, right? I mean, today when a lot of D2C brands which start off in one sector, one product segment, try to go to the other one, they falter. Because the role of branding has fundamentally changed. The brand has to anchor in a benefit and a promise which is very specific to that. Right. So when you're thinking of a promise today, you can't just say I ensure quality. Right. वो तो packaging ही कर देता है. Correct. Every brand has to stand for a value. Right. Now, जैसे great example I think is the whole truth. Right. उन्होंने एक अच्छी चीज पकड़ी है. There are now, okay, you had a question on marketing versus branding, right? I think fantastic marketing, very poor branding. Why do you say so? So होल ट्रूथ इज अ फैंटास्टिक प्रॉमिस, करेक्ट. उस पे तो मैं कुछ भी खरीदने को तैयार हूँ, ठीक है, बिकॉज इंग्रेडिएंट क्वेश्चन मार्क्स आर अ ह्यूज थिंग इन आवर लाइव्स. वो चाहे ब्रेकफास्ट सीरियल है, चॉकलेट है, कुछ भी है, इट मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस, राइट? बट यू नो व्हाट प्रॉब्लम होल ट्रूथ हैज? व्हाट? इफ यू गो टू अ स्टोर, होल ट्रूथ का कुछ सामान अगर लेट्स से दोस प्रोटीन बार्स और व्हाटएवर, ब्रांडिंग इज नॉट विजिबल, तो द नेम इज सो ब्लडी लॉन्ग. Right? Yeah. As the pack shrinks, different categories will have different packaging requirements, right? As the pack shrinks, what happens to the brand? How obvious is it कि whole truth बैठा है, बॉस मुझे तो ये चाहिए. This is where branding comes in. Right? So recognition in a brand is a huge thing. If you look at Docomo, right? That it looked very nice and cheerful and playful, काफी चीजें नटखट ऐसे चीज बोलते थे लोग, बट वो उसमें एक बड़ा स्पेसिफिक वो था. पीपल शुड रिकॉग्नाइज टाटा, ठीक है, बट टाटा व्हेन इट कम्स टू सर्विस ब्रांड हैज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग. जब आप गाड़ी खरीद रहे हो वो सफारी खरीद सकते हो, बट उसकी सर्विसिंग होती है टाटा के पास जाती है, राइट? टेलीकॉम में भी ऐसे ही है. हाँ, जब आप खरीद रहे हो, यू वांट अ ब्रांड टू से समथिंग अबाउट यू, वोडा एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, ऑल दैट इज फाइन. हाँ, बट जब उसकी बिल का टाइम आता है या उसमें सर्विस इशू आती है, कॉल ड्रॉप होता है, आप रतन टाटा को लिखते थे. राइट? सो टाटा, व्हेन यू से टाटा क्लियरली, then you are enjoying the benefits of being a Tata brand. The default of belief is on your side. So उस branding में Tata was very sharply written, but also very small, because you wanted to be different from Airtel and Vodafone, which are all very constructed corporate brands rather than consumer brands. You wanted a consumer brand. So Docomo you created to give you that feel of color and energy, playfulness, whatever it is. उसके बाद एडवर्टाइजिंग में अगर आप देखो, जितना खिलवाड़ किया हमने डोकोमो के साथ या टाटा के साथ नहीं किया, ठीक है. So a brand is about creating these assets which will travel. Docomo had 3 assets: the signature tune, the logo, and if you go back to Docomo advertising ever and see, there is always a pause in the story and then do starts, right? उसी से आपको पता चल जाए डोकोमो का ऐड है. This is what branding is. Marketing is a different story. 1 पैसा per second is marketing. Yeah. ठीक है, मेरे पास लोग क्यों आएंगे, मुझे प्रीमियम क्यों देंगे, मेरे साथ रिपीट क्यों करेंगे, मुझे वर्ड ऑफ माउथ क्यों देंगे, दैट इज मार्केटिंग.
So which is one of the smartest marketing or brand campaigns you would have seen through your career? I mean, whether you've worked on it or for that matter looked at it from an outside world. So which marketing campaign you admire the most till now?
I think there are many. Okay, and there are also waves.
Hmm.
As sectors achieve different levels of maturity, उसमें task बदल जाता है. Okay, and then you find a role for marketing. So for instance, financial services has never done any good marketing, right? Simply because उसमें तो गेम ही penetration का है, marketing को तो poster देना है.
Yeah.
Okay. In telecom till this phase, when Voda and Idea were getting new licenses, Aircel was going national, Tata Docomo was launching, marketing का कोई role ही नहीं था. Right? It was a distribution game. It was a product game. So marketing आया तो marketing में obviously some fascinating work happened. I think Vodafone is a killer campaign. I think Idea was a killer campaign. What an Idea Search is the one I'm referring to. Docomo, of course, वो तो मेरा अपना था. Go back in time, if you go to the 90s. Again, this was a brand I was associated with, a market researcher, not a marketer. Horlicks, right? There was this, so again a very different time. उस टाइम पे ईस्ट और साउथ में अभी अच्छा दूध नहीं मिलता है. People have milk with Horlicks or Horlicks in water for nutrition of the kid, right? They ran a campaign and the challenge of course was बच्चे को पसंद नहीं आता है. That could be because माँ कम डाल रही थी, but बच्चे को पसंद नहीं आता है टेस्ट, ठीक है. So there was this beautiful campaign where after all the ramble around the good stuff, इसमें एनर्जी है, इसमें कैल्शियम है, जो भी है सब कुछ है, बच्चा एक चम्मच मुंह में ऐसे ही डालता है, कहता है मम्मी तो देती है मैं ऐसे ही खाता हूँ. Now that one line made so much difference, and since we were tracking the business as well, that one line made so much difference to the fortunes of the brand, right? That makes a lot of difference. Just getting like the person who used to work on Docomo from FCB used to say, you need to identify the sharp edge of the knife. एक ad में सब कुछ नहीं बोल सकते. Right? What is the problem? What is today holding back the revenues of the brand? If you can identify that, and the campaign hits on that,
wow,
right? Then you got a job.
It eliminates, the dependability on a liquid form. Yeah.
Correct. So creativity सब कुछ तो ठीक है. But look, what will unlock your revenues if that message is sent across?
Yeah.
Your job is done.
Yeah. Understood. So, and you also spoke a lot about how data and technology plays a very critical role in terms of marketing as well. So as a marketer, if I'm sitting today and there are so many brands, the market is getting crowded so much, and everybody has access to the same kind of data or, for that matter, technology. How do I stand out as a marketer then?
See, like I said, market research is a decision support.
Yeah.
ठीक है, डेटा सबके पास वही होता है.
Correct.
अभी आपके पास आइडिया क्या है, right? See, one of the things, and I've done a lot of work with a lot of startups, okay, at various stages. One of the issues in the startup world is there is this fundamental belief I am the market. Okay.
I know the market.
I am the market.
Oh, अच्छा.
हाँ, मेरे को ये दिक्कत आती थी, वो मैंने सॉल्व कर दिया, तो बस अब मेरा माल चल पड़ेगा.
मतलब अगर मैं ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहा हूँ तो फिर मैं ही सब हूँ. ऐसा.
हाँ.
Okay.
तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम आ रही है तो सबको यही प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, मैंने सॉल्व कर दिया, अब तो रॉकेट लगना है.
अच्छा.
ठीक है. रिसर्च क्या होता है? ठीक है. What you don't realize is, let me give a couple of examples. Okay. So supposing I'm creating a food product.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem I've solved is protein deficiency in India or whatever. ऐसे बहुत सारे मिलेंगे आपको. ठीक है. I'm not going to take the names of the people I worked with. ठीक है. Now problem is protein also leaves a bitter aftertaste. ठीक है. तो मैंने अच्छी चीज तो बना दी है. ठीक है. but जो बंदा खा रहा है, he's not looking for सिर्फ अच्छी चीज. First thing is टेस्टी भी तो होनी चाहिए. मुंह में जा रहा है तो टेस्टी तो होना ही चाहिए. Right. So this thing that my concept was this, my product delivers on the concept, therefore I've solved the problem, is incorrect. In every category there is always some consumption hygienes, let's call it. ठीक है. अगर हॉर्लिक्स है तो घुलना चाहिए. ठीक है. अगर मुंह में जा रहा है, प्रोटीन बार है चाहे वो है, टेस्टी होना चाहिए. राइट. अगर सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक है तो मतलब ठंडा होना चाहिए, राइट, गर्म तो नहीं चलेगा, राइट. सो देयर आर एवरी कैटेगरी हैज इट्स ओन यू नो बट्स सो टू स्पीक. ठीक है, वो कोई नहीं टेस्ट कर रहा है. हाँ, और उसी लिए क्या होता है आपका मतलब पीओसी हो जाती है, उसके बाद यू नो 2 years ago there was a huge list of you know unicorns and this that. वो कहाँ हैं सारे?
Yeah.
Right. Most of them, if you take out the logistics problem solutions, have come a cropper. Right. There's a reason for that. Because if you are creating product, you also have to see, अच्छा ये किसके जगह कंज्यूम होगा, दिन में कितने बजे कंज्यूम होगा, वो बंदा घर पे होगा कि बाहर होगा. You know all these little, you have to fit into people's lives rather than you know imagine they will change their life for you.
Yeah.
इन सब के लिए आपको डेटा चाहिए, इन सब के लिए आपको sound research चाहिए, right? You are never the market is the point. You know, you are one of the people in the market. So marketing, like I said, is all about you know fresh ideas, right? Communication is all about packaging those fresh ideas into a piece of communication that will you know break the clutter, get noticed. Okay, but great communication is no guarantee of great ideas. Okay, so like great communication. What is the idea?
Yeah.
Right. What is the idea? How is it adding value to my life?
Correct.
Is it saving me time? Is it saving me money? Is it saving me the complexity of carrying 25 cards? What is it? बताओ तो सही. Then I will evaluate whether it works for me or not. Right.
Yeah.
So ये वाली जो thinking है ना is missing. Right. So I think there are very bright guys who are creating stuff. I think there are a lot of fascinating things happening. I think it's a wonderful time to be an entrepreneur, right? I mean, in the 90s when I started working, right, having an idea was a very small part of becoming an entrepreneur because आपको पैसे भी चाहिए, right? रोज के खाने पीने के लिए भी चाहिए, you know, लाइफ सपोर्ट के लिए भी चाहिए और फिर लाइफस्टाइल के लिए भी चाहिए, राइट? एंड ये भी है कि बॉस 3 साल बाद अगर ये चला नहीं मैं कहाँ जाऊँगा, ठीक है? देयर वर ऑल दीज प्रॉब्लम्स अराउंड, राइट? Thanks to the ecosystem, the way it has grown, the startup ecosystem, all of this is solved. If you have an idea, if you're willing to invest your time in, बाकी सब solve हो जाता है, ठीक है? But I think, you know, in the haste to be first in the market, a lot of, you know, important tick marks are being missed. Whole truth, जैसे मैंने आपको example दिया, like a brilliant idea. ठीक है, दिखा लेते एक बार किसी को यार जो मतलब पैकेजिंग डिजाइन करते हैं वो बता देता है इसमें इशू आएगी. You know, similarly, like I said, cred, they spend so much money. ठीक है, if there is an idea, you should have communicated it, tested with a few people. So this, you know, I mean, in वो कहते थे ना वो 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. The perspiration is missing.
Achha.
Now, mostly the success comes from you know doing the hard miles. A great example is Airtel, and you know because I was in Bharti for a year and a half, you know I managed to not discuss telecom but retail with Sunil Mittal, Rajan Mittal, and Akhil Gupta, who was their CFO, right? Brilliant people, each one of them, right? And जो उनके वो है ना the ability to do the hard miles. I mean there are people in Airtel who I worked with in my Docomo years who say they have actually climbed towers with Sunil Mittal and you know fixed the sectors of the signal. Wow. इतने hands on है वो. So and it shows on the business they have created, right? I mean that is the kind of you know hard miles that I'm talking about. I don't think most founders today do that. जो करते हैं वो फिर shine करते हैं.
Got it. So and with the whole evolution of AI coming in now, I mean, do you think the role of marketing itself is going to change? I mean, or for that matter, it will just enable them to become better?
I think see, AI helps you do certain things faster. Right. It may also help you do some things better. Okay. But जो आपके वो एक प्रोफेशनल के KPIs होते हैं ना, so like I said, मार्केटिंग का KPI पहले ब्रांड PNL होता था, वो अभी थोड़ा बढ़ गया है, 5 जगह बढ़ गया वो शायद, ठीक है. but each of them still has a KPI of his own. Somebody wants to grow, the number of followers on social, maybe somebody wants to grow the people who have bought more than once on a particular platform. Somebody wants to grow the brand love itself, right? Each one of them can adapt AI to his purposes, right? But KPI तो वही रहेगा. हाँ, so it's a skill. It's a skill that some people are climbing faster than others are. Okay, but I don't think it will fundamentally change what is required of marketers or entrepreneurs or whatever it is. People who are able to, harness it to their uses will do better.
What are some of the most counterintuitive things which, is generally known, but actually it's the opposite regarding marketing or for that matter, consumer behavior, which you would have seen? Elaborate it with few examples.
So actually, let's look at the IPL.
Yeah.
For a minute, right? And like I shared, we run a recall track on the IPL. Everybody thinks, was IPL तो सब देखते हैं.
Yeah.
ठीक है. And उसमें मैंने चढ़ा दिया तो brand दिख जाएगा. Nobody is thinking what is the clutter. This year, if you look at the various ways a person can consume the IPL, there are more than 200 brands.
Wow.
ठीक है. कपड़ों पे है, स्क्रीन पे है, फिर ऐड आ रहा है, वो अलग है. ठीक है. आप चैनल चेंज करोगे, दूसरा भी है. राइट. सो 200 ब्रांड है. ठीक है. एक बंदा कितने ऐड याद रख सकता है?
करेक्ट.
हाँ, मैं जवाब दे देता हूँ आपको. 25% of the audiences recall 5 or more brands. That's it.
Wow.
Okay. Now, and see, there is an element of clutter finally, right? मतलब आप अगर कहानी अच्छी बनाओगे, it will cut the clutter. ठीक है. People don't watch TV to consume advertising. The advertising is a price you pay to watch what you want to watch, right?
Yeah.
ठीक है. But if your advertising is an interesting story, if it entertains you, engages you, soundtrack अच्छा है, आपका favorite star है, कुछ हो रहा है उसमें, there's a nice joke being played out, it engages you, and the brand manages to slip in the message it wants to as part of that engagement, right? That is the reward you get. Most people, I don't think, are using IPL to reach out to the IPL audience. They are saying, चलो IPL भी मिल रहा है, April में IPL होता है, मेरा campaign है, चला दो. Right? So you have many brands running little, and I think it is utterly counterintuitive. Second, one of the first things you learn as a marketer is, the 3 exposure theory or the 7 exposure theory, but there will always be a finite exposure, right? You have brands which are running the same ad every day for 70 days. Okay. What our research shows, what we call, super fans. There are 15% of the IPL audience वो हर रोज आता है.
अच्छा.
वो 70 दिन तक वो आके ना वो देखने वाला My 11 Circle और Dream 11 or whatever, right? आप मैसेज तो नहीं बदल सकते, क्रिएटिव ही बदल दो यार. राइट. वो क्रिएटिव भी नहीं बदलते हैं, right? I think 3 creatives they are running for 70 days. It is, beyond a point people get bored.
Yeah.
So, okay, and a great example in this, of a brand which has used it well. Vodafone जब Zuzu करता था, right? Same IPL. They planned, ठीक है, 70 दिन IPL चलेगा, मेरे इतने creatives बनेंगे. At the end of it, these are the 5 messages I would have given. The consumer would have watched me because he is engaging with the Zuzu.
Wow.
Right? थोड़ा मतलब सोच के करना चाहिए is essentially the thing. And I find it very frustrating that 18 years of the IPL now, the quality of brands work on the IPL, if anything, has dipped rather than climbed. I would have thought by now people will be building it. If I had the Docomo kind of budget today, I would say बहुत 70 दिन में मैं 300 करोड़ खर्चूंगा, ठीक है. By the end of it, nobody will ever be able to forget my brand.
Yeah.
Right. That is the opportunity. Yeah. Right? मतलब 500-600 million people watch the IPL over the 70-day period. It's a huge opportunity. What are you saying?
What's the future of marketing now? I mean, I see that what I've started seeing is that I mean, personal brands have become very critical in addition to the business brands. So, for example, Zomato का इतना अच्छा campaign चल रहा है. I love Zomato's I mean marketing and everything else. Then उसके बाद दीपिंदर गोयल खुद भी effort मार रहा है content करके या अगला अलग अलग प्लेटफॉर्म में जाके अपना खुद का पर्सनल ब्रांड बनाने का. So why do you think firstly this is happening? And I've started seeing this Bombay Shaving Company के साथ भी same case हो रहा है. And so why is this important to do? And is this an indication of what is about to come in future?
See, I think let's go back to the phenomenon of startups. In a startup, the founder is a key part of the ecosystem, right? वो चाहे CMO हायर कर ले, CDO हायर कर ले, ब्रांड मैनेजर हायर कर ले, ब्रांड तो वही है. Okay, that is point number one. Second is for founders, like I said, पैसा मिल जाता है. If you have an idea, पैसा मिल जाता है. But a very important part of the role a founder plays is continuing to raise money.
Yeah.
Right. Now, for you to be able to continue to raise money, right, there is a very important stakeholder who's interested in you as a person. Right. So you have to therefore invest in you as a extension of the brand, or the brand as an extension of you. Right. So this is, if startups are here to stay, which I think they should be, then we will be seeing more and more founders emerging. As they emerge, not only will they be creating brands, but they are fundamentally they're brands themselves, because there is a funding ecosystem which is seeing Dipinder Goyal, which is seeing Bombay Shaving Company ka jo Shantanu, right? So they are betting on him, not just Bombay Shaving Company, because even today, if you look at Zomato is different. वो तो is a IPO हो चुका है उसका, but a lot of these companies, the companies are seriously not fundable, right? If they were fundable, they would do the IPO themselves now, right? So आज आप जिससे पैसे मांगने जा रहे हो, he has to bet on you, and therefore you are the brand. So what are you saying? How much content do you have out there? What is the engagement with the content? Do you make sense? Do you have a following? All of that makes a difference.
Got it. And now we have also started seeing these celebrity brands coming up. I saw an athleisure brand which Hardik Pandya launched. The brand's name itself is Hardik Pandya. This HRX is another brand which has been launched. You see this pattern, I mean, growing more and more where celebrities are launching their own brand, which is piggybacking on their own personal brand, and automatically the business being built.
I think so. See, if you think about it, what is a brand, right? I mean, a very popular technique in market research is, अगर ये brand इंसान होता तो कैसा होता?
Yeah.
Here you're doing the reverse thing. There is already Hardik, right? He's not the most lovable character. Not everybody, vibes with a Hardik. But the guy who does is a serious fan of Hardik.
Yeah.
Right. Incidentally, in our track, is the 5th most popular guy.
Oh, wow.
Right. So there is Dhoni, there is Kohli, there is Rohit.
Yeah.
बीच में एक और कोई है, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, फिर हार्दिक है.
अच्छा, बीच में एक और भी कोई है?
बीच में एक और कोई है, फिर हार्दिक है.
अच्छा,
ठीक है.
Alright.
So he, sorry, Sky.
अच्छा, okay. So, but आप लोग ये कैसे निकालते हो, मतलब ये?
So, like I said, we are tracking, the IPL. So every day we are interviewing people. कल आपने IPL देखा कि नहीं? ठीक है. So apart from brand and the more interesting stuff is team कौन सी है? Which team are you following? Which players are you following? आपके favorites कौन है? Right? Because like I said, I'm a fan of cricket myself. I'm a weekend cricketer myself. Right? So that is the more interesting part of the thing. And then the next set is, why do you follow Hardik? Right? Or why do you follow whoever your favorite player is? So anyway, coming back to the question.
Yeah.
So Hardik stands for something.
Yeah.
There is definitely fitness. There is definitely a certain, dekh lenge, kar lenge, right? Never say die, what are you going to call it, right? There is a certain amount of, a lone wolf kind of thing, right? मैं ही करूँगा, ठीक है, रन नहीं लेता, मैं last ball में खेलूँगा, right? So there are these things around Hardik, which are already, a lot of things a brand would want, right? So or rather, which a consumer would want in his brand.
Hmm.
वो डाल लेगा हार्दिक या.
Yeah. Okay. So this will, so this phenomena will grow further.
Yeah. So see, people as brands is not a new thing. Of course, it's newer in India.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was saying, as audiences evolve. So the and personalities are a big part of what people are following, therefore, right? So the values of the personality can easily be transferred onto, of course, there are people make a lot of mistakes as well. So there have been cricketers who opened restaurants, for instance.
Yeah.
Right. There is no link with that. Right. I think Virat Kohli invested in a sound brand, Move Acoustic or something.
Okay.
वो नहीं चलता. Right. Because उसमें आपका क्या है? Right. If I want to show I'm a fan of Virat, मुझे तो, in fact, Bombay Shaving Company के साथ compete कर सकता है वो.
Yeah.
I personally know so many teenagers जिसने दाढ़ी उसके दो की बनाई है. Right. So that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right. मतलब, what is Virat's connection with music? Why would I want to listen to music on a device he's
agreed.
So value man जब तक हो, it makes a lot of sense, I would say.
So going forward, Ritesh, how can a company like yours enable these brands in terms of getting that story out, becoming a bigger, understanding the bigger picture, and then building the business?
So what we really work on, like I said, is surveys is the how, right? But here are 6 people who have 30 odd years each working with consumers in India.
Yeah.
Right. We understand the Indian consumer, urban, rural, metro, Gen Z. Right. ये जो सारे शब्द आते हैं, इनके पीछे जो insight है वो हमारे पास है. Right. One of the things which is happening and going to happen more and more is with media, getting fragmented. Who I follow on Instagram is different from who you follow on Instagram. Right. So the core of brand building, right? Whether it is media, कौन सा media choice करो, whether it is message, मैं बोलूँ क्या, right? All of these have now nuanced and fragmented answers, right? There are 2 ways to build a brand. Like I was saying, Docomo, 300 crore, build a brand, right? वैसे कोई नहीं करता आज, right? Because we're in the world of startups. पहले आप POC करोगे, product market fit, right? So if you want to build that staircase, right, you need beta customers who will buy into your idea, who will forgive you for your protein bar being bitter, and will actually give you that feedback.
Yeah.
Right. Then you go to the next stage, and then you go to the next stage of refinement, and the 5 other products you do. वो journey क्या होनी चाहिए? Where do you fit into people's lives? Wherever you need to understand consumers better, wherever you want to plan your brand cycle better, and wherever you are looking for tactical stuff like communication optimization, because of paise, see, truth is it takes a few thousand to make an ad today, right? It takes a few lakhs to run a campaign today. But once you have run the campaign, what your brand's perception has been created is there for a longer time, right? So it makes sense to be consistent, and it makes sense to be in line with what you want to do, right? So ये जो सारा आपका marketing, branding, communication, consumer segmentation, how does it all fit together? How do you piece it together into what you want to do? What is your go-to market? That is where we come in. That is where we can, work with the brands.
Got it. Understood. Great. Thanks a lot, Ritesh. It was lovely interacting with you. समझ नहीं आया कि how the time went. I learned a lot about marketing, branding, communication, and everything else. Any final thoughts which you want us to leave us with?
Just one wisecrack. If wisdom were the preserve of the age, right, then the smartest man would be a monkey.
Yeah.
So I would suggest your audience listens to what I'm saying, but you don't need to take what I say at face value.
Yeah. Great. Thanks a lot, Ritesh.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.